Imagine walking into a bustling cafe, every table alive with chatter, laughter, and the clinking of cups. People sit shoulder to shoulder, yet a profound isolation hum beneath the surface. A tension unspoken, as if every conversation is a theater of masks. Among them, you spot a figure at the corner, not because they are conspicuous, but because they are absent in a peculiar way. The eyes trace the world with quiet intensity, the hands are still, the mind elsewhere. This is the refuge of the highly intelligent. Those who navigate life not merely through social scripts but through the intricate labyrinth of thought. Here lies a paradox. The more one sees the machinery behind human interaction, the less appealing it becomes. The world of the mind, rich and unrestrained, often outshines the world of the crowd. Arthur Schopenhauer, the philosopher of pessimism and keen observer of human folly, believed that true intelligence breeds a form of social aversion. He wrote, "Every man takes the limits of his own field of vision for the limits of the world. Those who can perceive beyond the ordinary, who understand the hidden motives, insecurities, and compulsions that govern human behavior, often recoil from the constant friction of social life. The intelligent person sees beyond polite conversation. They see the ego masked in laughter, the fragile pride beneath compliments, the quiet despair beneath cheerfulness. Sociality becomes not a joy but a gauntlet, a theater where masks must be navigated with delicate strategy. But why does intelligence compel withdrawal? It is not mere shyness or antisocial temperament. It is an existential sensitivity, a kind of mental acuity that detects the shallow currents under the surface. Carl Jung captured this tension when he said, "Loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you. For the deeply perceptive mind, the majority of human exchange is noise. Conversations about trivialities, the endless small talk, the performative gestures of sociality. They all demand energy that the intelligent mind cannot afford to squander. Yet, the withdrawal is not devoid of engagement. It is a recalibration of attention. The intelligent person seeks connection not for its own sake, but for meaning, resonance, and insight. There is a distinct risk here. The deeper one delves into intellectual solitude, the more alien the crowd appears. Social rituals, once neutral or comforting, become irritants, distractions that obscure the grander patterns the mind yearns to observe. Schopenhauer asserted that solitude is essential for profound thought. A man can do what he wants, but not want what he wants. In other words, the intelligent mind is often driven toward isolation not by choice but by necessity, a compulsion toward clarity, depth, and understanding. Yet, this retreat carries a tension that is at once exhilarating and unsettling. The intelligent mind experiences the paradox of proximity and detachment, being among people yet profoundly apart, witnessing the dance of humanity with both fascination and horror. The social world, in all its vibrant chaos, becomes a kind of psychological trap, a stage where the keen observer feels both present and displaced. The very gift of perception, the ability to understand, analyze, and anticipate human behavior, simultaneously constructs a barrier between the thinker and the thinkerless. In this tension lies the beginning of the intelligent person's social estrangement, a quiet, inexorable drift towards solitude, not as punishment but as sanctuary. One begins to notice the subtle inconsistencies in behavior, the petty cruelties disguised as norms, the endless cycles of desire and disappointment that define collective life. Sociality is no longer effortless. It is fraught with cognitive dissonance, emotional strain, and existential fatigue. The mind craves depth, yet the world offers only breadth. And so, the intelligent retreat begins not from fear, not from hatred, but from a profound clarity that most will never possess. Once the intelligent mind begins its retreat, it is not a casual withdrawal. It is a subtle, almost imperceptible estrangement from the rhythms of ordinary life. The world, once navigated with ease, suddenly feels abrasive, incoherent, and even absurd. There is a burden in perceiving too much, noticing every micro-expression that betrays falsehood, every pattern of social manipulation, every fleeting motive behind a seemingly innocent gesture. While others glide through superficial interactions, The observant mind is imprisoned in awareness, forced to constantly interpret and decode the hidden structures of human behavior. Aldous Huxley captured this tension perfectly when he wrote, "Experience is not what happens to a man. It is what a man does with what happens to him." The intelligent mind cannot unsee. It cannot disengage from the ceaseless flux of human contradiction. This heightened perception generates a peculiar form of loneliness. One may be physically surrounded by people, yet emotionally and mentally removed from them. Jean-Paul Sartre observed that hell is other people, not in the melodramatic sense of eternal damnation, but in the suffocating, inescapable pressure of social expectation. The intelligent individual feels this keenly. The constant need to perform civility, to adhere to norms, to appease collective habits, all while the mind craves authenticity, depth, and significance. Social encounters, once a source of pleasure, become taxing exercises in self-restraint and mental fatigue. Small talk, casual gossip, forced empathy, they become not just tedious, but existentially draining. The withdrawal into solitude is, paradoxically, both refuge and prison. Viktor Frankl, in his study of the human spirit under extreme conditions, noted, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response." The intelligent mind seeks that space deliberately, a breathing room to think, to reflect, to understand without the incessant interference of societal expectation. Yet in claiming this space, one risks a deepening isolation that is felt viscerally, as if the mind itself has been exiled from the body of society. It is a state where observation becomes obsession, where empathy transforms into acute sensitivity, and where intimacy with ideas replaces intimacy with people. This burden also manifests as a gnawing dissatisfaction with the superficiality of social norms. Intelligent individuals perceive that much of human interaction is governed by repetition, habit, and unexamined desire. They see ambition cloaked as etiquette, conformity masquerading as civility, and distraction passing for engagement. Friedrich Nietzsche described this tension with searing insight. "He who despises himself still respects himself as one who despises. But what if one despises everything that one is?" The intelligent mind, in observing the hollowness of much social performance, begins to question not only the world around it but the very necessity of participating in it. Yet this perception is not cynicism alone, it is a form of existential sensitivity. The intelligent person feels the weight of unspoken truths, the ethical ambiguities, and the inevitable disappointments that define social life. Solitude becomes a conscious choice, a strategy to preserve mental and emotional clarity. But it is a choice imbued with tension. The human instinct to connect clashes with the equally powerful need to remain unpolluted by the trivialities of collective behavior. The mind becomes a sanctuary, but one shadowed by the knowledge that absolute withdrawal is impossible. Society always reaches inward, in invitations, obligations, and the subtle coercion of cultural norms. In this burden lies the paradox of intelligence. Awareness breeds alienation, clarity invites estrangement, and perception necessitates retreat. Social life, in its fullness, becomes both a fascination and a threat. The intelligent individual oscillates between engagement and withdrawal, drawn toward human warmth yet repelled by its dissonances, seeking a balance that is never fully attainable. Here begins the quiet tension of the brilliant mind, the pursuit of understanding at the cost of comfort, the craving for insight at the price of belonging. As the intelligent mind withdraws from the surface currents of society, an unexpected phenomenon emerges. Solitude ceases to be mere absence of others and becomes a crucible of thought. The mind, unshackled from the incessant demands of social convention, begins to explore its own terrain, tracing the intricate architecture of ideas, emotions, and perceptions. Yet this solitude is never serene in the conventional sense. It is charged, electric, and at times intolerably vivid. It is a solitude that forces confrontation with the self, and through that confrontation, the emergence of insight, reflection, and creativity. Arthur Schopenhauer, whose observations of human behavior were steeped in both clarity and despair, asserted that a man can do what he wills but not will what he wills. In other words, the intelligent mind is compelled toward this introspective withdrawal, driven not by whim but by an inexorable alignment with its own capacities. Creativity, originality, and philosophical reflection require a concentration and mental space that the noise of ordinary social life simply cannot afford. In solitude, the mind encounters both its brilliance and its burdens, wrestling with ideas that may be incomprehensible to those around it, yet forming the raw material of deep understanding. This withdrawal is intimately tied to moral perception as well. To engage with society is to absorb its compromises, its inconsistencies, its moral ambiguities. The intelligent mind, sensitive to the fractures between ideals and practice, retreats to preserve ethical clarity. Jean-Paul Sartre reflected on this tension when he wrote, "Freedom is what you do with what's been done to you." The intelligent individual, in seeking the freedom to observe, question, and act according to reason rather than convention, must often do so at a distance from the collective judgment. Social withdrawal thus becomes a moral imperative, a preservation of integrity in a world of habitual compromises. Yet the solitude of thought carries its own peril. The mind becomes prone to overanalysis, a persistent scrutiny that amplifies every inconsistency and flaw it observes. Aldous Huxley described this in his exploration of human consciousness. The more you see you cannot see. The intelligent observer perceives patterns, contradictions, and hidden motives, and this awareness magnifies the sense of isolation. What others take for granted, the ease of conversation, the comfort of companionship, becomes a series of calculated risks and potential dissonances. Even when surrounded by society, the mind exists in a parallel realm, simultaneously participant and spectator, engaged yet detached. And yet, it is in this very tension that genius often flourishes. Viktor Frankl noted, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." The intelligent mind, confronted with the inherent limitations and chaos of social life, adapts not by capitulation but through internal refinement. Ideas mature, reflections deepen, and the capacity for insight grows, precisely because the thinker has chosen, or been compelled, to embrace solitude as both necessity and opportunity. This dynamic creates an invisible rift between the observer and the observed. While ordinary minds might navigate social life with comfort or indifference, the intelligent mind moves cautiously, aware of subtle undercurrents and hidden motives. Even the simplest conversation can reveal truths the world prefers to obscure, and the thinker, having glimpsed these truths, often cannot return to casual engagement. Nietzsche encapsulated this paradox when he remarked, "Invisible threads are the strongest ties. The mind is bound to perception itself, tethered not to others but to the weight of awareness, creating a solitude that is at once liberating, illuminating, and profoundly isolating." In this crucible of thought, the intelligent individual discovers both the wonder and the terror of consciousness. Solitude becomes the canvas upon which understanding is painted, a necessary, if uneasy, prelude to wisdom. Yet it also reveals the fragility of human connection, the difficulty of communion when perception exceeds the ordinary. The path of intelligence is not merely a journey of knowledge, it is a path of existential negotiation, balancing the exhilaration of insight against the loneliness it demands. As the intelligent mind immerses itself in thought and reflection, a shadow grows alongside insight, the emotional weight of alienation. It is one thing to understand the structures of human behavior. It is another to inhabit a world where those structures often feel absurd, shallow, or even cruel. Every interaction can awaken a quiet despair, a subtle grief for the disconnect between one's own depth and the superficiality of ordinary life. Viktor Frankl observed, "Ever more people today have the means to live, but no meaning to live for." For the perceptive mind, this lack of meaning in social exchange becomes a palpable tension, a subtle but persistent ache. Intelligence often breeds an acute sensitivity to the contradictions of life. While others may glide through conversation or social ritual with ease, the intelligent individual sees the compromise, the pretense, and the dissonance behind the gestures. Each interaction is simultaneously a potential bridge and a reminder of distance. Carl Jung reflected on this tension when he said, The least of things with a meaning is worth more in life than the greatest of things without it. Ordinary companionship, while comforting to some, may feel hollow to one who craves depth, authenticity, and resonance. This dissonance cultivates a longing that is difficult to satisfy, an ache for understanding, for souls attuned to the subtleties that escape most. Yet alienation is not merely an intellectual or emotional experience, it is existential. The intelligent mind becomes aware of the impermanence and fragility of human bonds, the fleeting nature of recognition, and the inevitability of misunderstanding. Schopenhauer, with his piercing clarity about human suffering, suggested that compassion is the basis of morality. Yet the intelligent observer experiences compassion in a complex, often painful form. Seeing the vulnerability and foibles of others simultaneously inspires care and frustration. The tension of wishing to connect while knowing that most connections will be shallow creates a quiet, unrelenting loneliness. Longing, in this context, is not mere nostalgia or sentimental desire. It is a yearning for communion that matches one's capacity for perception, a kind of emotional fidelity that society rarely provides. The thinker desires interlocutors who can navigate the same depth of reflection, who can tolerate ambiguity, and who do not shy away from discomfort in pursuit of understanding. Aldous Huxley noted, "Most human beings have an almost infinite capacity for taking things for granted. For those attuned to subtlety, this disregard becomes a source of isolation, a reminder that meaningful engagement is a rare and precious commodity." Paradoxically, this awareness does not necessarily drive the intelligent mind toward bitterness. Rather, it cultivates a delicate equilibrium between hope and caution, empathy and detachment. Nietzsche's words echo here. "He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow." The intelligent individual often fashions a why through contemplation, moral integrity, and aesthetic or intellectual pursuits. Solitude, once a source of potential despair, transforms into a crucible of resilience, allowing the mind to endure the inevitable dissonances of social life without surrendering its essential sensitivity. Yet the tension remains. The emotional cost of heightened perception is constant, a subtle undercurrent beneath every attempt at engagement. While friendships, family, and casual companionship may provide moments of respite, the intelligent mind is always aware of the gulf between surface connection and profound understanding. This gulf fosters a quiet longing, an inner ache that is inseparable from the gift of intelligence itself. Awareness, while illuminating, demands a price. The risk of perpetual estrangement, of feeling alone even in the midst of a crowd. In this delicate balance of alienation and longing, the intelligent individual comes to understand a profound truth. To perceive the world deeply is to navigate a constant tension between connection and detachment. Social life, in all its vitality, is both necessary and perilous. It offers companionship, yet often fails to provide the depth that the perceptive mind craves. The intelligent mind learns to embrace solitude as both sanctuary and companion, recognizing that the weight of awareness is inseparable from the pursuit of understanding itself. The intelligent mind, having endured the emotional strain of alienation and the tension of heightened awareness, begins to transform solitude into a crucible for purpose. Social withdrawal, once a necessity imposed by perception and sensitivity, becomes a deliberate arena for self-cultivation that in the absence of distraction, thought attains clarity, creativity flourishes, and moral and philosophical visions take shape. This is the paradox of intelligence. The very act that isolates also illuminates, turning estrangement into a tool for understanding, expression, and growth. Viktor Frankl observed, "Life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose." The intelligent individual, attuned to the superficialities of social life, is acutely aware that conformity and distraction cannot provide lasting significance. Purpose emerges in the silence of reflection, in the cultivation of ideas, and in the courage to engage with life on terms defined by insight rather than routine. Solitude becomes the environment in which intellectual rigor, ethical consideration, and creative innovation converge, producing work and understanding that often surpasses anything attainable through mere social engagement. Yet this process is neither effortless nor painless. Solitude demands discipline, self-awareness, and an emotional resilience that few develop in the comfortable ease of social life. Carl Jung emphasized this necessity. Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. The intelligent mind must confront its own contradictions, fears, and desires in the quiet spaces that society often denies. It must wrestle with uncertainty, grapple with moral dilemmas, and endure the discomfort of insight that does not always align with social norms. In this arena of thought, creativity is born not from comfort but from tension. Nietzsche captured this beautifully. One must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. The intelligent mind, through its withdrawal, cultivates a chaos rich in observation, reflection, and emotional depth, a fertile ground for originality. Artistic, philosophical, or scientific breakthroughs are rarely the product of ease. They are the reward of sustained engagement with the self, unmediated by the distractions and trivialities of social expectation. The withdrawal, therefore, is not a renunciation of life, but a disciplined embrace of it on a higher plane. The moral dimension of this solitude is equally profound. Observing the limitations, contradictions, and follies of society cultivates a heightened ethical awareness. Aldous Huxley noted, "The propagandist's purpose is to make one set of people forget that certain other sets of people are human." The intelligent mind, sensitive to such distortions, develops a moral clarity that is rarely challenged by convenience or conformity. Solitude provides the space to reflect, judge, and act in accordance with principles rather than impulse, to cultivate compassion without compromise, and to pursue a life of depth rather than spectacle. However, the intelligent individual also confronts a crucial existential challenge. Purpose without audience can feel fragile, even ephemeral. Human validation is scarce, and social recognition often fails to align with the depth of insight achieved in solitude. Yet, paradoxically, the withdrawal that initially isolates becomes the very source of strength. By turning inward, the mind cultivates autonomy of thought and resilience of spirit. It learns to derive satisfaction not from the fleeting approval of others, but from the enduring resonance of understanding, creativity, and moral integrity. In this transformation, solitude is no longer merely a refuge. It becomes the forge of the mind, the incubator of purpose, and the source of vision. The intelligent individual learns that withdrawal is not a forfeiture of life, but an investment in a more profound existence. Social life, with all its challenges and distractions, is not rejected outright. It is approached selectively, with discernment and intention. In this balance, intelligence finds its most authentic expression. A life guided not by superficial connection but by clarity, insight, and enduring significance. After the long passage through perception, withdrawal, and the crucible of solitude, the intelligent mind faces a final, subtle challenge: reconciling insight with existence in a world that is often indifferent, chaotic, and shallow. The journey of the mind is not merely an inward odyssey. It inevitably encounters the persistent question of engagement. How can one preserve the clarity, ethical rigor, and creativity honed in solitude while navigating a society that frequently misunderstands, resists, or trivializes these qualities? Here lies the ultimate paradox. Intelligence demands both distance and selective participation. Arthur Schopenhauer warned, "Every man takes the limits of his own field of vision for the limits of the world." The perceptive individual, seeing beyond ordinary assumptions, recognizes that most of society operates within a narrow, habitual perspective. To engage without losing integrity requires careful discernment. Intelligent people often learn to choose their encounters deliberately, cultivating relationships that allow depth without surrendering insight. They become like rare, temperate currents within the overwhelming flood of social convention. Visible, impactful, but not entirely absorbed by the flow. The reconciliation of intelligence and social existence also involves embracing imperfection, both one's own and that of others. Jean-Paul Sartre observed, "Man is condemned to be free, because once thrown into the world, he is responsible for everything he does." Awareness of human imperfection becomes both burden and liberation. One understands that miscommunication, ignorance, and folly are inevitable. Yet one also recognizes the capacity for selective influence, ethical action, and meaningful connection. In other words, the intelligent mind does not demand universal understanding. It seeks resonance where it is possible, influence where it is ethical, and solitude where it is necessary. Paradoxically, withdrawal and engagement coexist in a dynamic tension that shapes both character and contribution. Viktor Frankl emphasized the creative potential of this tension. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. The intelligent mind uses solitude to cultivate insight, emotional depth, and moral clarity, then returns to society to apply these qualities with precision and intentionality. Engagement becomes selective, purposeful, and meaningful, not an automatic immersion but a conscious act. In this way, intelligence transforms isolation into a tool for effective, ethical participation. Furthermore, solitude fosters empathy that is nuanced rather than superficial. Carl Jung remarked, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." The perceptive mind, having endured the strains of isolation and reflection, approaches connection not for convenience or comfort, but with intentionality. Even brief interactions carry potential for mutual transformation. The intelligent individual understands that social life, in all its unpredictability, can provide fertile ground for ethical action, intellectual exchange, and creative inspiration, but only when approached with mindfulness and discernment. Ultimately, the intelligent mind discovers a profound truth. The tension between insight and society, between solitude and connection, is not a weakness but a defining strength. Intelligence is both a burden and a gift. It isolates, yet illuminates. It alienates, yet enables deeper resonance. Friedrich Nietzsche captured this duality succinctly. "He who climbs upon the highest mountains laughs at all tragedies, real or imaginary. From the heights of perception, one sees both the absurdity and the beauty of human existence, choosing when to descend into the fray and when to remain above it, ever vigilant, ever discerning." In the final analysis, avoidance of social life is not mere misanthropy or fear. It is an existential strategy, a deliberate cultivation of space, clarity, and purpose. The intelligent mind navigates human society like a careful traveler through an intricate labyrinth, aware of its traps, appreciative of its hidden marvels, and capable of choosing when to linger and when to withdraw. In this delicate dance, intelligence reveals its ultimate gift, the capacity to live deeply, think freely, and connect meaningfully, on one's own terms, without surrendering the integrity of perception.